All right, folks, again, Randall Cobb to the Cowboys on a 1-year, $5 million deal. So react to the signing in 3 words or less. Let us see it in the comments section there. We got a lot of questions. We'll get to those here in a little bit. But again, react to the Randall Cobb signing in 3 words or less here live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Keep those comments flowing. We appreciate over 1,000 of you guys watching now. So, hey, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to have your questions guaranteed to be featured, use a super chat, by the way. We'll make sure those get up. In the meantime, producer Brett behind the scenes, he's going to bring up some comments here as well from DeJuan Gant. Says, great signing. I know you mean signing there. I think it's a good signing as well. I'm very pleased by this one here. Jimmy Greer says red zone help. Cobb does get open well enough in the red zone. I think that's a fine option there. Ray Lofton calls it lit. I think that's pretty accurate as well. Vincent Miner, is it Miner? I'm pretty sure it's Miner, but let me know, Vincent. Asks, how's the hamstring? Mine's fine. But for Randall Cobb, I think he'll be okay. That is the big red flag here. That's why Cobb only got a 1-year, $5 million deal. It is because of the injuries. Carl Poff says hot buttered corn. Okay. It's different. I like it. I get that it's a corn on the cob joke, but I like it anyway. Jordan Fontaine says, let's go, Cobb. That feels very accurate as well. Again, folks, keep those comments coming. Daniel Estrada, hashtag Cowboys, the question here. Is Randall Cobb all we need for offense? In terms of, like, your starters, probably, yeah. But you're looking for a running back either in the draft or someone like a Ty Montgomery type in free agency. Maybe some offense linemen to develop. But in terms of your instant impact starter type guys, I think the Cowboys draft for round 2, round 3, they're going to focus more on the defensive side of the ball. Again, folks, use hashtag Cowboys to get your questions featured in the comments section. First super chat here from JD says, Christmas time, cobble, cobble, cobble. I like it. I like that one. That's a good one. I appreciate that one, JD. Thank you for your super chat. Again, if you guys use those, producer Brett will make sure we get it up live. If not live, we'll do it on a special video for you. Justice Kellett says, is Andy Isabella not an option anymore? I would be surprised. I don't think it's totally ruling him out, but if the odds are, like, let's just say 10 or 15% before, it's down at like 1 or 0.5% right now. You still have to find a safety. You still want some defensive line help there. I don't think receiver right now is a big impact area in terms of the Cowboys draft targets. They might still take somebody, but I'd be a little bit surprised if it was round 2 unless the guy was by far their top guy on their board. NFL full games, is Randall Cobb a better third down weapon than Cole Beasley? Cole Beasley was really good on third downs, like one of the best on third downs. Now, Randall Cobb can be a little bit more of a dynamic player for you. They play very different styles of slot receiver. I don't know if better, depending on how healthy Cobb actually is really fair, but he will be a good third down player, and he's cheaper too. That's valuable. Hector Velasquez says, any news on Eric Berry? Here's your Eric Berry update. He was at the Star today for a visit, in large part a medical visit. The Cowboys searching and seeing, okay, how is that major heel injury rehabbing? What's the status there? Eric Berry has now left the Star, which Randall Cobb also did, to take other visits. That was not a surprise. Eric Berry was probably not going to sign today with the Cowboys unless they blew him away with an offer, which we knew the Cowboys weren't going to do. So stay tuned on Eric Berry. The Cowboys have some semblance of interest, but the first thing for them, they got to figure out the medical side of things. If that comes back clean, then they'll take the next step forward. From Chris Bite, asking about Robert Quinn as well. The Cowboys and Dolphins have had trade talks about Robert Quinn. Now, Quinn is also visiting the Saints right now, and I think the Dolphins might say, Robert, we'll get similar offers here between the Saints and the Cowboys. Let us know which team you like. Now, I think in reality the Cowboys and Quinn have a decent semblance of what a contract would look like. Maybe it's an extension to help reduce his cap. Maybe the Dolphins pay for some of his money up front. And in terms of what the trade could look like, I'd say either two things. The less likely one is a pick swap this year. More likely, probably a mid to late round pick in the 2020 NFL draft. And Robert Quinn, by the way, he's a right defensive end. He is a perfect replacement for Randy Gregory, given, well, we don't know what's going on with Randy Gregory's long-term status beyond the fact that he's currently suspended indefinitely. From Mario, who would you rather trade for, Quinn or Duke Johnson? Both great options. I'm going to go with the defensive end. As much as I like Duke Johnson, I'd rather have Robert Quinn. He's a fantastic player. Still, even though he's a little bit older, he'd be a really good fit alongside DeMarcus Lawrence. He's got at least 4 sacks every single season. Meanwhile, Taco and Dorrance can't get to just 4 ever, really. Back to DeJuan Grant again, says, can we get an Ndamukong Suh? I don't know if you're going to see Suh sign. The Cowboys can get Suh. Will they? I'd be a little bit surprised. I think he wants to stay on the West Coast. He might be a bit out of the Cowboys' price range as well, especially now that they've signed Randall Cobb to a 1-year, $5 million deal. From Jacob, says, would Suh be a good fit? In terms of fit, absolutely. Again, Jacob, thank you for your super chat. Great profile pic, by the way. He'd be a fantastic fit. I mean, it kind of would hurt, I think, Antoine Woods' role a little bit, but he'd come in and be your second best defensive lineman by far. He'd be an impact player for the Cowboys, but money matters. I don't know if Suh's price tag and the Cowboys' price limit match up very well. From Sr Cowboy, do you think Savage has become our second-round pick? You guys know, if you don't by now, I'm a huge Darnell Savage fan. I absolutely love him. Again, thank you for your super chat there, Sr Cowboy. I would love Darnell Savage. I'd also love Juan Thornhill. I'd love Jonathan Abram. Abram, by the way, has been a Cowboys official 30 visit, so there's surefire interest on that front. If Savage is on the board in round 2, I'm all for it. I don't think the Cowboys have locked into any one player. It's way too early for that, plus there are 57 picks before them. But I think Darnell Savage alongside Xavier Woods would be a fantastic 1-2 punch. Bit better in coverage than Abram, though doesn't quite hit as hard or as fun. Charles Ayers, Cowboys trade a 6th-round pick for Robert Quinn, signed DeMarcus Lawrence and Clayton or Eric Berry. What do you think? Not sure you mean by Clayton. Do you mean Adrian Claiborne? I'm not that interested in Adrian Claiborne. I think that the Dolphins might want a little bit more than a 6th-round pick in 2020, but I'm on board with that. Definitely re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence, by the way. I don't think the Robert Quinn trade interest has much impact on DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that's more of a complimentary piece, but to be fair, the Cowboys did the same thing about Allen Hurns and Des Bryant, and we know how that went down as well. As for Eric Berry, if the medical checks out and the price is right, sign me up for that as well. Isaiah Woodfin, what's going on with Tyrone Crawford? Well, Tyrone Crawford lived up to the rest of the Cowboys' defense line expectations, got himself in trouble with the law this weekend. Here's a video out there. I put it out on my Twitter, @WhatGoingDowney, of Tyrone Crawford pushing some police officers. Now, he has not been arrested, hasn't been charged with anything, but it's a fairly bad look for a guy who, throughout his time with the Cowboys, has been the leader, has been the, hey, young guy, don't make that mistake, do the right thing instead. Not a good look for Tyrone Crawford. I don't think a suspension's coming, but we know how Roger Goodell is, so I guess stay tuned for that one. Racing 559 with Jason Witten coming back. Does that tell you the faith he has in Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator? I do think Kellen Moore is a factor. I don't think it's the biggest factor there. I think that Witten coming back has to do with A, the fact that he was not good on ESPN, B, still wants to play football, C, wants to coach, loves Jason Garrett, and also I don't think Witt likes Scott Linehan very much. So I think from that perspective, it was an upgrade for Witten in terms of, oh, I got to go play for Kellen Moore. That's fine. I'd rather him than Scott Linehan, which was the Cowboys' same mindset as well. Justice Collette, with this signing, could we get Lil Jordan Humphrey in round 5 or Jalen Hurd in round 7? I don't know if Hurd's going to fall to round 7, so I'll just say, let's say mid to late day 3 for all of those guys. I think it's a possibility. Hurd didn't run that well at the Combine. Not a fantastic athlete despite being pretty good overall. And Jalen Hurd is intriguing for sure. So I think that those types of players on day 3, the developmental type guys, do make sense for the Cowboys. Maybe even a guy that you could stash on the practice squad for a season. From John, what do we do with Looney? Trade him? I don't think so. I think you keep him. He's your best backup offensive lineman right now. He's proven he can at least be a stopgap starter at center and at guard. I keep him. And frankly, I don't think you're going to see a team give up like a second-round pick to get him. So at that point, I'm keeping Joe Looney for at least one more year as my backup interior offensive lineman. Primetime Kids has any update on the DeMarcus Lawrence contract? Not really at the moment. I think you'll see them work closer. Again, I think a deal gets done. I think the Cowboys are focused more on guys like Randall Cobb, guys like Eric Berry, and then they'll get back to DeMarcus Lawrence. I think a deal gets done. and I'll be very upset if it does not, because the Cowboys haven't handled this all that well. From CGP 2003, should Dallas consider Jordy Nelson or A.J. McCarron? Well, not on Jordy Nelson. The Cowboys already signed Randall Cobb today, so that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there. A.J. McCarron, I mean, sure, but he's not that good of a quarterback. He's never been a very good NFL quarterback. Heck, the Bills and Raiders didn't play him for good reason. Don't let the Browns fool you trying to get a second and third round pick. That was never a good idea there. You can bring him in as your backup. He's probably better than Cooper Rush and Mike White, but the Cowboys' MO right now is not to bring in a veteran backup. Again, folks, react to the Randall Cobb signing in 3 words or less. Get those in the comment section. I'll still be responding as well. Use hashtag Cowboys down there. I'll respond to some. And if you missed anything on the Randall Cobb signing, we'll put this on loop here for you guys live on Facebook and on YouTube.